The subcommittee will come to order. I'd like to thank our distinguished witnesses, Assistant Secretary Nisha Biswal and Assistant Administrator Jonathan Stivers for coming here this morning. Thank you very much. This hearing was called to assess the fiscal year 2016 State Department and U.S. Agency for International Development budget request for South Asia region. Today I'd like to focus on how U.S. funds support the health of South Asia's democratic institutions, the strength of economic development in the region, and the management of the latent security concerns. The relationship between the United States and countries in South Asia concerning those issues is very ripe for cooperation. Robust relations with South Asian countries would significantly bolster our rebalance to Asia. However, the region also faces some significant economic, security, and human rights challenges. To start, Bangladesh continues to face severe political challenges with infighting between Bangladesh National Party and the Awami League and have begun to impede on development and citizens' livelihoods. India must address development challenges for a significant part of its population, with over 300 million Indians still living without electricity. And on our trip to India, the Prime Minister was noted for saying, "Let's build toilets instead of temples," just showing what a serious issue it is in that region of the world. There's about a quarter of the Indian population that don't have electricity. The Maldives is increasingly a hub for foreign fighters and religious extremism, yet the issue goes unnoticed. The United States uses limited resources to assist South Asian nations, facilitating their democratic infrastructure and economic development. Despite the region's shifting geopolitical landscape, increasingly complex security outlook, lingering human rights issues, and enduring obstacles in development, U.S. foreign assistance in South Asia has actually fallen by 48%, from $2.2 billion to $1.1 billion, not including food aid. Between FY 2012 and the requested budget for 2016. I implore our distinguished witnesses to explain whether the United States is doing enough and whether our limited funding to the region could be better utilized. The administration requested $168 million for assistance in Bangladesh in fiscal year 2015, and the request for fiscal year 2016 is $172 million, an almost 2.5% increase. The vast majority of our aid dollars go to Bangladesh, yet we see little improvement in living and working conditions, especially in the provision of social services. I worry that the instability caused from the rivalry between the two major political parties has disrupted our aid efforts. I hope that Assistant Secretary Biswal and Assistant Administrator Stivers will be able to explain how our contributions would be best used in Bangladesh. India is a country of vast opportunity for collaboration on development, trade, and defense. It is the world's largest democracy, and it is indeed an increasingly important partner in maintaining regional peace and stability. I visited, as I mentioned, India earlier this month, and I was really impressed with many of the reforms that are being spoken of by the Prime Minister, and I'm very hopeful that things in India will significantly improve, and it will be a much more robust economy. Of course, they have to have a lot larger growth rate to accommodate the, what is it, about 1 million new jobs a month. Pretty significant. I look forward to staying extremely engaged with India as the country continues to pursue their aggressive agenda of economic and infrastructure development. I'm concerned, however, about the treatment of women and minorities. In particular, I'm concerned that the government has been suppressing discourse about women's rights. The Indian government was reported to have censored a BBC documentary about the gang rape of a 23-year-old Delhi woman. It's particularly disturbing to our principles of free speech and women's rights. I'd like to know whether our administration has brought this up with the Indian government. That was quite a topic of conversation while we were there. I believe it was called India's Daughter. There's not enough attention paid to the Maldives' a democratic nation of many small islands, but one that sits in the middle of key shipping lanes in the region. While maritime traffic flows past the Maldivian islands, maritime security is of major concern due to political threats posed by narcotics trafficking, piracy in the Indian Ocean, and potential seaborne terrorist activity. Further reports of growing extremism greatly concern me. Why are the Maldives serving as a hub for the recruitment of religious extremists? How are we addressing these grave concerns to our international stability and our national security? The newly elected Sri Lankan President, Sirisena, recently stated he will revisit deals signed with China by his predecessor, President Rajapaksa. Am I saying that right? With increased trade and investment between the two countries, Sri Lanka risks being wooed by China through major investment in infrastructure construction initiatives. I'd like to know what we can do to ensure that Sri Lanka does not become dependent on China for development, and what we can do to assist the new government in addressing domestic economic and development challenges. The requested budget must focus on promoting more democratic and accountable governance, promoting sustainable economic development, and opportunities for trade and commerce in the region. Other countries, Bhutan and Nepal, are also extremely important to our efforts in South Asia, and I hope today's witnesses will be able to address them as well. Look forward to hearing from our distinguished witnesses this afternoon, and I now yield to Mr. Sherman, the ranking member of the subcommittee, for his opening remarks.